right, hello friends. Whew, that was a mad dash. Thank you for joining me. My name's Dan, and this is Daily Art Adventure number 15, not number 115, like there was a mistake in the last one. Oh, I don't have any monitor, that's right. I'll have to fly without any. Anyway, let's go. Bam. This is going to be a very short broadcast. I have essentially finished, I don't know what you call it, phase one, maybe? Phase one of the photomechanical technical tricks to capture a likeness. There are many different tricks. I use many of them. Let me show you what this is. Again, if you're new to my broadcast, this will be new, but you old timers are very familiar with this. So on the photograph, this is printed off my printer upstairs, cheap household inkjet printer, right? And then laminated for a couple of reasons. And I don't know if you can see, there's a real fine red line that I put in there in Photoshop. And then on my canvas, on my painting, I put the T-square. I did corresponding line. And then I used that XY axis to measure using mostly calipers. Can you see all the dots, especially on Joe's face, head? Those, because we're measuring in a curve, so it's kind of hard to tell. So I would make a dot with a Sharpie marker often to delineate exactly where that spot is that I'm measuring. And I measure how far to the right and how far up. One measurement at a time. Bump, line, bump, dot. So I've got precise measurement. So this is Joe and Sarah after 2, 3, 4 hours, I don't know, of measure. Well, first of all, I just painted by the seat of my pants, tried to get close. And then secondly, this is after measuring. So it's quite close, and you can see there's definitely a likeness happening here. Hello, John Melanzi Art. Good to have another artist on board. Okay, and what I want to show you in this brief broadcast today is another cheater. I try not to use that word. Photomechanical tips and tricks. I taught an art class last November at Art of the Carolinas. Some of you may be aware of that annual event. And I called it Portrait Painting for the Rest of Us, where I did nothing but teach a plethora of photomechanical technical tricks for getting an accurate likeness. I know we all want, me myself included, we all want to be able to just stand back and look at a person or photograph and nail it. And sometimes I do that. I would say about 40% of the time I could do that. 60% of the time I need help. So I want to show you the next trick that I do. Hello, Foxhole Willie, Jim, and Monique. Oh, Monique's been a long time. Good to see you. All right, and I'm just going to walk through this. I hope it'll be clear. Using my old phone. So what I do next, I'll zoom back in here. My next layer or level of refinement, I have to turn off this light to do this. All right, so I take a picture of Jim's face. Now I have to make sure, by the way, that the camera is parallel to the canvas. It can't be tilted. It has to be straight, okay? So there's a picture of Jim, and there's a picture of Sarah. And I'm going to go to my galleries. And by the way, you would be surprised how many times simply seeing your painting on your phone screen, this is one of my tips and tricks, this is one of the easiest ones. Simply take a picture, a photograph of your painting. That's all. Sometimes just looking at it here, but then looking at it on your screen, you'd be surprised how many times looking at this image you will see errors, mistakes, in inaccuracies that you didn't see in the original painting. Okay, so that's tip number one. Now, we're going to take a little bit beyond that. Then, I've taken a picture of painting Joe, painting Sarah. Now, if this camera phone had already had this image in it, that would have been good enough, but it didn't. So next thing I do, let's just pretend that I do it. No, I don't want to confuse you. Let's do it again. So now I'm taking a photograph of the photograph. Are you with me? Now, if this image already existed on this phone, I wouldn't have to do this, but it doesn't. So there we go. And again, make sure your phone is straight, or your camera. All right. So now I have a picture of Joe painting Joe photo, Sarah painting Sarah photo. All right. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go to an app, and I don't know how well you can see that. This one right here. There are several online. This is called, I'm getting this the free version, so if an ad pops up, forgive me. There are many collage apps online, free. Use any of them. You just have to make sure it's one of those that doesn't mess with the ratio of your photograph. A lot of them do. You can stick your photograph in and it'll stretch it. You don't want it stretched. You want it maintaining. So that's what this one does that I just showed you. Let me show you again. It's called, oh good grief. I'm getting nothing. Never mind. I won't show you because I'm just getting ads. All right. So I select now. I want the side-by-side app. I want the side-by-side collage. Now click here, and I'm going to put, let's put Joe's painting. And then click here, and I put Joe's photo. Right? Then I can size these. Here's where you have to have the right. They're all free, and there's all kinds, but just make sure it isn't one that squeezes or squishes your. That photo's a little bit out of focus, good enough for demo, and then I save it. Okay, now that image just as it is on your phone, that image is now in my phone's gallery. Now, the first time I tried to teach this technique was probably 10 years ago. I just have to tell you this. One of the worst horror moments in all my years, in all my decades of teaching art. I had I believe it was all women. I mean, most of the time our students are women. I had about 15 women in this class. And I had said in the description, we're going to use your phone in your gallery, and you have to know how to use your phone. So on and so on and so forth. But it was called a portrait class. And so I got there and I started right about here. And the ladies, there's several, half the class, they say, I don't know how to use my phone. And the other half said, what gallery? Oh, my blood ran cold. I turned white. I'm sure I had 3 hours with these ladies, and I'd prepared entirely how to use a phone. Okay, so this is not for your great-grandmother. Bless her, may she rest in peace. This is not for your great-grandmother who doesn't know her phone. This is for you guys. Okay, not to offend any of you. All right. Whew. All right, so the image that I just made then showed up in my gallery. It looks like this. You with me? Some of you guys you need to pay careful attention. And now I'm going to edit this image. Watch here, edit. And again, some of you going, I don't know how to edit photos. Well, this broadcast is not for you. I'm sorry. I got a real snarky thing coming on me today. I'm still recovering from that atrocious, horrid moment 10 years ago, maybe 7. I don't remember. Anyway, yeah. So if you don't know how to use your phone, if you don't, you know your phone from your hole in the ground, then that's not for you. Okay. All right. So we're gonna edit. So it looks like this. This is really important. Transform. Now, if iPhones are a little bit different, but you can find your way. Flip horizontal. Boom. All right. Save. Save. What I have just done is I have essentially turned the painting and the photograph, both of them, whoom, into a mirror image. Now, the mirror image is now you can do all this with a mirror, by the way. That's how the ancients did it. They could use a mirror, and if you're not accustomed to using a mirror when you use portraits, I was watching one of the big dogs, doing a live portrait on YouTube, and he said, "No, I don't recommend using a mirror." And I go, "Yeah, well, that's if you are you." I used to say, I could walk. I don't know. The State Fair is a good place to see good amateur artwork, right? And some professional. And I'm not kidding, but you can do this too. You can walk anybody that did a face or a portrait. You can walk by and say, "Didn't use a mirror. Didn't use a mirror. Didn't use a mirror. Didn't use a mirror. Didn't use a mirror," because you can spot the mistakes, and they're usually mistakes of something is canted left or right off. It's something's not right. You can see it once you start doing it and start seeing it. You'll see your own mistakes. Anyway, so the point is seeing my painting as a mirror image turns on most of the light bulbs. Now I go, oh my goodness, now I see all my mistakes. Now let me just walk you through one other process. I won't walk you through it, I'll just show you. Then I go back to my collage app, that app we were using a while ago, and I make another separate collage. This one is over under, and I put the mirror image in the top row and the regular non-mirror image in the bottom row. Are you with me? Because sometimes it's hard. If you see a mistake here, it's hard to figure out where it is here. So it's easier to go if you have it back the right way. Now, I'll just finish this up with one more. If you happen to be at home within reach of your printer, then I strongly recommending, most of you can print straight from your phone. Again, don't tell your great-grandmother, but if you have a printer in your house, you can print straight to your phone. Anyway, and this is a different painting, forgive me, but wedding painting a couple months ago. This is Leon, and let me show you. Let me hold this. I'll stick this up so it's not wiggling all over the place. This might be worth seeing. Now, granted, this is definitely me being a little bit OCD, but so this is the way the painting and the photograph are. This is the right one, right? The way he is in the painting and in the photograph. This is the mirror image. So this is the one. This right here is where I can see all my mistakes. And the reason I put the photograph, of course, right next to it is so that the mirror image of the photo is sitting right beside the mirror image of the painting. And here's what I do. You can see all this scratching? Where do I start? There's number one, change in his hairline. Number one. I'm crazy, I know. I use a red pen and a white pen so I can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are all the little tiny changes, all the way up to 22. So I have 22 modifications that I discovered I needed to make on Leon's face. Now this part's kind of important again, because if you go straight from this to the corrected image where the painting's facing it, you're going to be as lost as a goose. So after doing 21 mistakes up here, I transfer every one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't have to write anything. I just draw a line and I can see it. And of course, the whole time I'm still comparing it to this photo now down here. Then once all this is numbered, so I have 1 through 22 down here, then I'm ready to go from this back to my painting. Does that make sense? Because it's easy to see my mistakes. And again, this obviously, I'm hoping you understand this is a different painting, right? I don't have this painting anymore. It's in California with Leon and Ito. And again, you might say, oh man, that's way too much work. That's way too much work. And I go, yeah, well, We have a name for artists who say that. They're called starving artists. Okay? Forgive me, I know I'm being a little bit nasty. I'm being a little bit nasty for your own good, all you budding wannabe portrait painters. It's harder than you think. You take more work than you think. It takes more time than you think. It takes more OCD than you think. So now, just for what it's worth, I have literally timed myself because I wanted to know how long does it take for me to find 20, in this case, 22 mistakes and then transfer along. The answer is between 10 and 15 minutes. So in the course of painting a portrait, how much is 10 or 15 minutes? Oh, about this much. Do you understand? Tiny bit. I mean, when I'm doing it, it seems like, oh, this is taking forever. Blah, blah. This is so OCD. This is so picky. 15 minutes. Okay? So not much at all. Does it? I hope all that makes sense. So let's do just a little bit. I did not print out my picture of Joe here, so I don't have the advantage. But let's go back then. So if I'm painting out in the field, that is, I'm not at home, then this is pretty much what I have to do. So I'm going to be looking for errors, mistakes, in no particular order, and I'm going to correct some of them. There's something about his mouth. Oh yes, okay, now I don't know if you can see it, but this part of his bottom lip, in my painting, I have it too low. Now, that's hard to translate because, so let's look down here. And let's see if I can still see it. Oh yeah, here's my painting the right way now, right? You can say, oh yeah, the top edge of his bottom lip, I can see because I saw it first in the mirror image, right? I saw it first in the mirror image because I'm seeing this with fresh eyes. All of this is old, but so then I have to translate down here. It's like, oh yeah, sure enough. All right, I can put that down. Let's do a little bit of quick painting. Do I have a blow up? I thought I had, maybe I do, but I won't look. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, just slightly blown up, that's all. So I'll just keep using, let's look on the back of here. Nope. Let's just real quick, and then I'm going to end this broadcast. It's going to be a real quickie. And I do have your chats going on over there, so if you ask a specific question, I should be able to answer that before we finish. So right at the moment, I'm trying to mix up. Let's mix up the dark red first. I did not take time, forgive me, I did not take time to pre-mix a bunch, like I usually do when I'm broadcasting. I did not take time to pre-mix a bunch of flesh tone, so forgive me. It's going to take me just a minute. I'm doing oxide red in a smorgasbord naphthol crimson. Do not take notes. Smorgasbord of, okay, that's still too light. I'm going to add some, knock down the chroma with raw umber, then a little bit of Scarlet Lake. Again, do not take notes. All right, this is, I think, going to be just close enough for this. All right, so what I saw, oh, it's, again, just to let you see the real thing. This is when it's nice not to have any teenage or young adult children in the house anymore, because I can do this. without any of them going by and saying, Dad. Okay, so I don't care what I look like. I care what the painting looks like. And here I am, by the way. Let's pay closer to, I'm going to move you in so you can see a little better. My head's not blocking you. I am tongue painting to beat the band. All right, I am. Sorry, I hate it, but it's got to be done. This is not good painting. Do you understand that? What I'm doing right now, in my opinion, is not good painting. It's just, you could call it a necessary evil. It just has to be done, and that's not. Turns out that is not dark enough. So forgive me. I have to mix up a little bit more. A little dioxazine violet, a little more There we go. Let's try that. Okay, I'm only fixing one mistake right now, and that is that the top edge of his bottom lip on the lower right side, or his lower left side, needs, is my head totally almost? Okay, I'm only fixing one mistake right now. All right, so there's the dark part of that lip. Now let's take just a second and do the highlight light part of that lip. I'm just going to wipe off this brush with a tissue real quick and pick up some more titanium white. I am, by the way, not doing at the moment at all. I'm not doing fine tuning flesh tones. I'm just getting close enough kind of flesh tones. All right, and that's again, this is close enough for demo purposes. I will no doubt be working on this some more on my own. I mentioned last week I stick with the bristle brushes as long as I possibly can before I graduate to a sable brush. Okay, because this is just OCD in a ferrule in a brush. Okay, so I stay away from that as long as I can. That's why I'm using a bristle brush right now. I mixed this up just to do a little bit on the bottom of his nose. Let's see, what else is kind of this color? So I'm doing a different strategy right now, which is I've got a dark, dull, reddish flesh tone on my brush, and I'm just looking at the photograph and said, where else does this color show up? Just doing a little bit here, there, here, there, here, and there, and here, and there. And of course, this process, it'll take me another hour or more to tweak Joe's face. Sarah's a little bit ahead, but I'm going to do the same thing with her. Look at my mirror image. It's close, but she's not quite right yet. And all right, that can I get away with? Yeah, a little bit down here on his neck. I'll do one more color before I wrap up this broadcast and read your questions. I'm going to go for a lighter flesh tone. Not quite that light. Let's add a little bit yellow, ochre, oxide red. There we go. Kind of a medium mid-tone, not the lightest by any means, but it'll let me get closer and clean up some of the dirt, some of the stuff that's on the canvas is part of covering up the pencil marks for one thing. We really don't want pencil marks in or pencil lines anyway in the final painting. And just marching a little bit closer. Here's a trick maybe. This is a brush with both ends, a brush that went bad, and I just used a pencil sharpener to smooth out both ends of that brush. So it's just a pointed stick. I find it very helpful. And for some reason, it made out of wood is better than made out of plastic or metal for some reason. All right, I don't know if you can see that Joe's face is creeping ever so slowly and gently toward a more perfect likeness. Do a little bit more, not quite so light up here now. So the process that I just showed you of taking a photograph of my unfinished painting and then in a phone app putting it in a collage, then flopping the collage horizontally. I will often do that more than once. Is that crazy? Woo! I'll often do it more than once in the course of doing a portrait. I think the most I've ever done it is 4 times. That's a bit excessive. 2 is typical, 3 sometimes. Do I ever just do it once? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. All right, I'll just do a little bit more. I hope that's helpful. And again, I do feel like one of the things I can help some early journey painters, that many of whom are trying to do portraits and discovering, dang, this is hard. Uh-huh. And I know that there are geniuses out there, maybe you're one of them, that doesn't have to do any of this stuff. All you do is just look and cook. You just look at the image and paint it, and it's perfect. Well, good for you. Wish I could do that. Like I said, I think about 40% of the time I can get close enough to a likeness to call it a perfect likeness. That's not a very good batting average, in my opinion. But I also do happen to know that I think most professional portrait painters, even if they start out that way, which is what I do, I start out trying to just paint by the seat of my pants, so to speak. I will always come back and use some photomechanical tip or trick to make sure that my painting is correct. And of course, I do feel like I should give myself permission to say, oh yeah, and by the way, it's the smaller the portrait, the more difficult it is. So I'm gonna claim, explain, especially if anybody does this, that small is really hard. That's me crying, right? Oh, I'll add one more thing, because you see me here doing an awful lot of horrible painting technique, holding the brush in this manner. All the stuff that in my normal painting I swear at, right? And I still believe that. So what I'm doing now, I do not at all consider to be good painting. It's just a necessary evil. Having said that, however, I've told on this broadcast before, and I'll repeat it again, that many times when I've really nailed a perfect, quote unquote, perfect likeness in the painting, and I'm certainly not there yet on this one, but I'm closer than I was 20 minutes ago, right? When I finally got the perfect painting likeness, I will follow up and intentionally do what I call sargentize, as in John Singer's Sargent. I will intentionally mess up, add more energetic strokes on top, because it's easy then, as long as I don't move features, as long as I don't mess things up, like moving in a line up or down, east or west. As long as I don't do that, I'm not losing a likeness, but I can make myself look like I'm a little bit better painter than I really am by, again, silly name, what I call sargentizing, because he has, of course, great energy. I could just as easily call it Zorgizing. Maybe it has a better ring. Anders Zorg, Swedish painter, I think. Scandinavian anyway, I think he's Swedish. A contemporary of John Singer Sargent, and legend has it that they met in sort of a friendly competition one time, and when John Singer Sargent saw Zorn's painting of the same woman, he ripped up his, or something like that. I don't know if that may be apocryphal, as they say. But anyway, Anders Zorn. So maybe I should call it Zornifying or Zornigating. but nobody would know what I was talking about. So I should probably stick with sargentizing. Not that anybody knows what I'm talking about there either. Oh, there's one crazy thing here that we need to fix. Um, his eyebrow way out here on this outer edge is way too exaggerated. But that I don't mind. I'm glad it's exaggerated. It helped me accomplish what needed to be accomplished. But I've done that now. All right. So I'm going to stop there. And now there's still something else happening. Several other things probably in the photograph that aren't in the painting that aren't quite right. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm not even done using this analysis yet. Okay, so I haven't even looked. And by the way, since I am in fact at home, I will take advantage of the inkjet printer that's upstairs, and I will in fact print this out and do the process that I showed you a while ago. But this is good enough for now. I mean, I have captured here a likeness. I could say, Jim, it's good enough, but I won't, because I'm not quite satisfied with it. And again, I think there's some benefit for some of you that see how hard a professional portrait painter, I'll go ahead and put myself in that category, even though, I can't hold a candle to the big dogs. That's right. It's not my job. It's not my job to hold a candle, and they do that. That is their full. Just to give you an idea, and you all saw this a lot more when I was doing my daily art adventure. As soon as I finish this, I have to run upstairs and do some architectural renderings in pen and ink and watercolor. So, do the big dogs have to do that? I don't know. I'm sure they'd be good at it, and then as soon as I do that for a little while, I need to run out the door and go work on a 300-foot long mural. So that's my life. I'm an all-arounder. Anyway, this is good for you to see at least how hard I have to work. And again, very often when I'm looking at early journey painters, inside, I'm being nice on the outside. I'll always be nice, but on the inside, I'm going, you're just not working hard enough. You're just not working. You're just flying by the seat of your pants and thinking that'll do it. And look, it doesn't. So there you go. If you want to be a good portrait painter, get a few tips from me and get a whole bunch from somebody who's better than me. All right, let me see what kind of mischief you guys have been up to. I saw David Mercer in there a while ago with us. The word mischief. He was correcting something about the shoulders. His upper shoulders seem too small for his head. Well, I will look at that, won't I? I showed you there's my too small for his head. This feels too small right here, and I measured it hyper carefully. So yeah, stuff like that. David, I'm not dismissing what you say. I go, man, I measured that. But I mean, it could be the fact that the tone, it's light over here on purpose because I just haven't done dark. Anyway, who knows? You're probably seeing something, or maybe not, because you're just seeing it through the lens. But I will pay attention to that and go, look. Thank you, David. I am strutting a new hairstyle, and I love it. I got tired of the old stuff. It started out like not shaved, but really short all the way around, and I found, man, I love it. Hello, Tiago, again. Trish, good to see you. And David says, your neck's too wide. It's been measured. Again, so here's what happened. By the way, let me take David's critiques as a jumping off. This is an important teaching point. I say, typically, when I see something that's off, like, man, it looks like your neck's too wide, and I'm the one saying it, fully 50% of the time, listen, this is when the artist is seeing it, 50% of the time I'm wrong. I'm right, but I'm wrong. There is something that's off, but the thing that I'm naming is not the right thing. That's when I'm talking. When somebody else is saying, like David, and I'm not criticizing you, David, it goes for everybody. When you're looking at somebody else's artwork, how do I want to say this? Unless they're a really skilled portrait painter, better than me, about 70% of the time, they're seeing something real, but they're naming it, misnaming it. So I will look at this. Like I see one thing right here, like I've got her shoulder lower. This highlight that I just did just a minute ago, on my painting is too low. It's supposed to be higher. I didn't measure that. So there's something. It might be this bit of hair right here. Can you see? Yeah, you can. It might be this little strand of hair that is making her neck seem, in which case I'll absolutely keep it and I'll put it back in. I don't know, but there's something. Once again, I will pay attention to that. I just won't, I'll go, I wonder if that's what it is. Does that make sense? Uncle, has anyone tried watercolor ground? Cool. Uncle's an inveterate experimenter. I've discovered that. 3/16 off right side of the neck by the man's shirt. Yep, maybe. Like right here. I think that's very possible. In fact, here let's do a measurement right now. You guys are trying to get all specific. Well, here's how we do it. I've got my hands full of stuff. There we go. All right. So let's measure. Let's measure the point of her neck that is furthest away from the y-axis. Okay. Oh, that's good. Bingo. It's now. I would have caught this. I mean, it's true, but it is less than a 16th, about 3/64ths of an inch. If you want to know, that looks better already. And let's go down here a little bit where it intersects with that hair. Oh, that's about right. Let me measure the top of her shoulder. Oh yeah. So I'll make a real faint mark right here just to let me know when I come back to it, because I'm not going to do it right now. Yes, and of course, I will make her, I've already made her neck about a 16th of an inch narrower on this side. I talked about that the other day when I did that. That's just standard portrait procedure. Likewise, I'll make her forearm just slightly narrower. Every good portrait painter tweaks the figure a little bit. You want to tweak it so much that they think they look good. You don't want to tweak it so much that they say, hey, you tweaked me. Does that make sense? All right. Jim Foxhole asked David if the dislike button hampered David's style. Get rid of that white highlight line in it. Oh yeah, right. No, I haven't even gotten that far yet, Uncle. Sorry, that's I haven't even gotten there yet. I'm laughing at Foxhole Willie's comments. Thank you. I haven't even gotten to. This is all just acrylic underpainting. I haven't even gotten to tweaking their clothing, anything below their shoulders yet. Well, except for his hand. I did his hand a little bit. All right. I promised a short broadcast, and it's already longer than I thought it was going to be. But thank you for your time and attention and critiques and humor. I appreciate it. Don't know if I'll be on tomorrow or not. I've got a boatload of stuff that I have to get done. Architectural renderings and murals. Love you all. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.